you thinking of?
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is hopefully going to be a super quick one, just talking through my Notion setup, because I've been using Notion for around a month now, I want to say. I set it up when I was back home for Christmas, and I've shown it in a few videos, and you guys have asked me to talk through how I've set it all up. This video isn't going to be me talking about what Notion is. I'm just going to assume that you already know what Notion is if you're here, and if you don't, then Google it first and then come back. And I'm also not going to be talking about how to physically set up the pages, because there are much better videos out there on YouTube talking through that kind of stuff who explain it really well, and everything of mine is already set up, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know how templates work or anything. So this video is just gonna be me whizzing over how I have personally been using this. All of my pages on Notion are incredibly simplistic as well, and incredibly easy to use. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how to do the more intricate, complicated things on Notion. I don't really know how formulas work or anything like that. So all of my pages are very simple but functional. I haven't even bothered to add cover images. That's how simple we're talking. So yeah, just getting started. Having watched other people's videos like Jade, a lot of people have a personal dashboard or a home. I don't really have anything like that, just because I don't really personally feel the need for it. I've sort of organised my pages in another way. I guess the closest thing I have to a personal dashboard, as most people call them, is my personal lists page. However, this doesn't really link to lists elsewhere on my Notion. It's sort of a standalone page in itself, but we'll start here anyway. So my personal lists page is pretty self-explanatory, I'm not gonna lie. It is just a load of lists. I used to make so many lists on the Notes app on my phone, and they were always just such a jumble, and they were always just all over the place and didn't really make any sense when I looked back on them. So I've basically taken all of those lists and put them on this page in one place, and obviously titled all of them. So I've got things like information to do with my cards, pins, things I need to buy, then I've got friends' addresses, birthdays, present ideas. I won't go into any of those because obviously they're personal details. And then I've just got random things. So I've got a list here which is last minute packing. You know those kind of things where you've packed to go on holiday, but the next morning you need to pack the last few bits. This is basically what this list is. And then I've got lists of recommendations as well. So anytime someone recommends something, I'll put it in a list here. So for example, I've got a big list of podcasts on here because I asked on my Instagram story a few days ago for podcast recommendations, and then I've just put them here, so they're all in one place. Okay, so next I guess I'll go to the one up, which is planner, and this is probably the main thing that I use Notion for. I have always been such a planner. This page starts with a monthly calendar, so I've put bits and bobs that are happening in January on this planner here. So for example, my exams and stuff. However, to be honest, I don't really look at this that much. What I look at more is my weekly planner section down here. So if we go into January, this is the page that I struggled to set up the most. None of the templates that I found worked in the way that I wanted them to work, and they were all just too complex. I literally just wanted a way for me to make daily to-do lists, and this is the way that I have done that. It's using the board view on Notion, and this is how I have set up my daily to-do list. So I have a board for each week of the month. So for example, this one is the first week of January, and what I do is I'll put the tag or category, whatever it's called, as the date, and then these are just things that you can input into the board. I really don't know how to explain this, but I'm sure you get what I mean. And then I just write done underneath and press tick next to it. Ideally, I'd like it to just cross it out, but as I said, I don't really know how to do that. However, this has been working really well for me, and what I like about this setup for it is that I can drag things to and from the days. So if I just haven't done it on one day, then I can just move it to the next day. The only thing about this setup is, as you can see, it can get quite cluttered and overwhelming. Sorry if you can hear my laptop, by the way. As soon as I start using it recently, it sounds like it's about to take off. But the way that I've sort of got around that is if I have lots of little things that I need to do and I want to write down, for example, lots of little admin bits, I will just group them into one thing, and then when I press on it, it will go into a longer list of things, and then I can tick them off. And then when I've done all of them, I'll tick them off on the main bit. So yeah, this is what I do for every week. So this is this week, the 11th till the 17th. I make the to-do lists as I go along, really, hence why these weeks are quite padded out, but then the next 2 weeks on, I've just put things that I know I need to do in the coming weeks on there, but as it comes to the day, then I just add more as I need to. Okay, next we have my social media page, and firstly I just have this page which has a load of links on it if I need to easily copy and paste it over somewhere. And then this is how I plan all of my content for social media. Firstly, we have content ideas. So this is set up in the same board setup as my weekly planner, but on here I basically categorize all of my video ideas. So we have business, weekly vlogs, daily vlogs, reaction videos, chatty videos, health and fitness, university, and then I can tick them off once I have filmed them, edited them and uploaded them. And then the good thing about this as well is if I don't want to view it in this way, I can just view it as a table as well, and this makes it easier to see which ones I filmed and which ones I haven't, because then you can go in and filter them. So I do the same thing with TikTok and Instagram. I won't bother showing you those because it's literally the exact same setup. And then the next thing is my content calendar. I basically look on my content ideas page and then input my ideas onto a calendar, and this is how I organize when I'm going to film, edit and upload videos. So as you can see, I have recurring videos on this, but what I've clicked on them is what I've done that day, if that makes sense. So for example, on December the 27th, I filmed my business management video, but then on January the 1st, I edited it, and then on January the 2nd, I uploaded it. Once again, the thing that I love about Notion is that you can just drag these boxes around. So if, say, I don't get around to filming something one day, I can just move it to another day when I'm gonna film it instead. And then I've just got some lists down here which are about sponsorship, so brand deals, brands I'd like to work with. I won't show you those because obviously they're kind of private and they are just lists, they're not really that interesting. The brand deals is set up in pretty much the same way as my content ideas page with the different categories on the boards. And then my notes page here is just random notes that I make, for example, when I'm watching other people's YouTube videos. If they do something that I particularly like, then I'll make a note of it. Next, we have my health and fitness page, and this is probably one of my largest pages. I don't really know why. So firstly, I like to use Notion to track my habits. So I'll just show you my one for January. My habits kind of change on a monthly basis. They're not even really habits, they're just things that I want to do every day. So for example, 10,000 steps, have I skipped, read my book, posted an Instagram story, listened to the news. I've also started recently tracking how many hours of revision or work I'm doing, because I like to do that during exam season. And I also have this favorited on the left hand side as well. Then I also like to track my progress as well. Obviously this was more applicable when the gyms were open. So for example, on here I'd input whenever I upped a weight on a certain exercise, and I've also categorized all of the different exercises as well. So for example, if I wanted to see my progress in specifically lower body, then I can filter it and just see my progress there. There's not a lot of progress, as you can see, because the gyms keep closing. I also have a load of other lists on here as well. So I've got a generic food shop list as well for when I'm doing my food shop. I've got lots of recipes that I've written down when I've been watching videos, or just things that I've seen on the internet that I want to make a note of. And then I also have a load of workout lists as well. This is pretty self-explanatory, but this is how I plan my workouts. I normally just choose 5 exercises from these lists, and I've written down how many sets, how many reps, and I've done this for pretty much every workout. So I've got warm-ups on here as well that I like to do. Then it's the same table layout for all of the different body parts, I guess. Then we have finances. So on here I just have a page which has all of my monthly expenses on, so my rent, my bills, my gym membership when I actually had that, contact lenses, things like that. That's just a table showing that. And then my spending page is one of the pages that I visit the most. That's why it's also favorited on the left. So I'll show you January. It's kind of embarrassing because I spend so much money, but this is how I set up my spending page, and this works so well for me because I love how you can see a sum at the bottom. So what I'll do is I have the date on the left, I then have what I spent money on, I then have a column for how much I've spent, which is the number column, and then I love how you can categorize it as well. So I use Monzo, which kind of does a similar thing, but I feel like on this I can be more specific. I can categorize things as a business expense, for example, and then using the filter tool when it comes to doing my tax return, I can just filter it to business expenses. Next we have my university hub, I guess. So on here I just have a load of pages that are relevant to university. So this is one that I'm using a lot at the moment. It's also favorited on the left, and this is how I've planned out all of my revision for exams and all the work that I need to do for deadlines during January. So I've got the dates on the left, and then I've written when the exam or deadline is, and then I've basically planned out all of the things that I need to do in order to meet that deadline or in order to do the revision before the exam. And the way that I've done this is by doing these little toggle lists at the bottom. So I basically sat with my content and made a list of everything that I needed to cover and broke it down into little bits. So I've either broken it down into lectures or weeks, and then I've used these lists to plan it out. So I've basically taken the content of that list and put it on that planner. The rest of the stuff on this university page I don't really look at that often. I've started to use it to plan out how I'm doing my assignments. So this is a list of reading that I needed to do for my climate change report. I then just got little lists. So this is when I was applying for summer internships, and this is a pretty extensive table. I have kind of given up on applying to them now, so it's not really relevant anymore, but I'd write the company, the type of internship that it was, the deadline, the location of it. I'd then put the link in it as well, and then just a checkbox. I then have a few more random lists, so my grades in first year, how to read a journal article, like the specific order to read it in, citation websites that are useful. Next we have my goals and future plans page. I need to do a lot more with this page, but honestly I just haven't been making many resolutions or goals. I actually don't have any 2021 resolutions. I think I've got 2 things on there currently, which is don't go on my phone first thing in the morning and improve skipping. So I really haven't set myself many resolutions this year. But for example, over Christmas I wrote a long list of all the things that I wanted to do over the Christmas break, and I just tick them off as I go along. Then we have my notes page, and this is basically a bit of a brain dump. It's whenever I'm watching something or reading something and I want to make a note of what's been said in it. So for example, my reading one is quite interesting. These are the 3 books that I'm reading at the moment, and for example I'm making a lot of notes on this book, so I've just been putting them all here. Similarly, if I've watched a documentary that's interesting, I've just put some notes there, or just random research that I've done on the internet. Finally, my last 2 pages are FinSites and Lub Society, and there's not really a lot going on here. I use the FinSites one more because all of these pages are the templates that I use for the captions, and then this is just an email template as well. So yeah, that is my Notion setup. I hope that made sense because I feel like I've whizzed through that so fast, but I hope it's been helpful to anyone that's looking at setting up a Notion. As I mentioned at the start, I know it's not very pretty and it's not very interesting, but it's very functional and efficient and it works well for me. Let me know if you try any of the templates or any of the setups I personally use, and if you enjoyed this video then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and also make sure to follow my social media, which will be linked down below in the description. Bye guys!